Fine. I'll do all three of them. Because if you
G-Watt
need
Jared.
hydration,
More. We can do more. Let's
we
just
can
hit
do
all
more.
of them.
GWatt Jared back at it again. I love it. I love GWatt Jared. You know what fuels GWatt Jared on a daily basis? GWatt Jared drinks nothing but hoist. Go to drinkhoist.com. Use our code ONESREADY at checkout. You'll get a sweet discount. There's a ton of team members. We've had Rachel Waters on. There's a ton of other hoist members that you may have seen out there. I'm not saying that we all have a single group chat where we talk to very famous people, because that would be a lie. But you can go to drinkhoist.com and use our promo code ONESREADY and get a sweet discount. You can have the premix, you can have the powders, you can get them in little packets. There's a million different things that you can do out there. I love the black cherry and the premix. The fruit punch is my favorite packet flavor. I love the packets because I just throw them in everything. Like every single bag that I've got, magically there's just a packet of hoist in there. Sometimes in the morning when I just need a little bit extra, I know I'm going to train hard out in this heat, I'll just throw a little premix packet into my morning shake. Fantastic. Gets me going right away. Gets me ahead of my hydration because it's IV level hydration. It's one of only 3 DOD approved beverages. It actually hydrates 10 times better than water in
I
your
actually had a
face.
question. You know what the squeeze bags that they have, just like the quick, could you hook that up to an IV line and just run it straight?
Do not recommend that.
No, do not recommend. Yeah, listen, man.
Don't do
I
that.
can't. I have guests that have been PAs
today.
For 30 years. These guys have been PAs, and there's people in the comments telling me that I don't tell the guests enough when they're wrong. So Trent, I got to tell you right now, no, you cannot hook hoist up to an IV and mainline
IV doesn't mean actually do IV.
Actually,
I'll bet you Ranger medics could do it, Aaron. I'll bet you they could.
Listen, yeah, and then they would say that they've never lost any single patient in the history of their world too. I don't know.
Tourniquets are magic. Anyway,
stop it. Go to drinkhoist.com. Please use the code ONESREADY at checkout. Okay, let's focus, everybody. We love you, Hoist. Thanks.
Problem is that after you're done training in this heat, you do get tired.
You do get real tired.
You do need to check out cardomax.com. Use the promo code ONESREADY to get that caffeine straight to the brain, brother.
And also, you can tell I'm pretty caffeinated right now.
And also to clarify, you can't put Cardomax directly into your brain either, Trent. Go to Cardomax, get some energy intensifier. They've got a whole bunch of stuff over at Cardomax, from rehydration to energy. They also have immune booster. Man, when I'm feeling like a little bit under the weather, if I'm feeling not so great, man, I throw that immune booster in there. It feels much, much better right away.
Great for traveling. Dude, travel when you come off those planes or you're going to a different location.
Nope.
Hit an immune boost beforehand and then after. Game changer.
Hit that caffeine as you're coming off the plane. Hit that workout as soon as you get to the hotel.
Now we're talking.
Out of your system, you're good to go.
Yep.
Now we're talking. I thought you ruined this entire upcoming episode with somebody that's in the pipeline. Well, in the very beginning of the pipeline and development as we speak. I thought you ruined the entire episode, but you didn't. You know how I wonder? We didn't ask him. I wonder how he trained to get in the pipeline. Do you know of any training programs that would have helped him out, Trent?
I mean, I guess if you need a training program and you don't know where to start, 18 Alpha is a great place to go. Because Kev Edgerton, he knows what he's talking about. He's been in pipelines before. He's trained a whole bunch of folks with a super high success rate through the most difficult pipeline in the military. That's the SRCCT pipeline. He's fantastic. And he'll take where you're at now, which is, I think, a huge problem for most people starting out, right? Like, they don't really know where they're at. And so he can take your numbers and work you up from there to where you need to be for any of these special operations pipelines. So check out 18alphafitness.com.
Yeah.
And 18A Fitness. I'm sorry. Alpha for us, it's 18A.
18A. Yeah. And then the code over there is the number 1 ready. So go to Kevin's page, go to check him out on 18alphafitness.com. Go look at his IG. It's just 18A Fitness. So 18A Fitness. Use the code 1 ready when you're checking out with Kevin. He'll have everything completely personalized for you, down to the equipment. If you don't have the equipment to do the workout, just tell Kevin, hey, I'm limited on equipment. He will make a workout for you that will get you where you need to be, even if you don't have like the world's best gym or a pool readily accessible, like you're going to need it at some point. But Kev can get you there. So go check it out. 18 Alpha Fitness. Use the code 1, the number 1 ready at checkout for a discount.
Yep. And now on to this episode where we've got, or maybe I'll just bleep out the name anyway. Who is currently in the development session and about to ship out in November. So he gives some good advice, and it was a really good conversation. And we're actually strangely enough, we're rooting for him because we actually
No, we're
care about
not.
the career field, but we actually
Oh,
care.
we
Okay,
are.
maybe I'm rooting for him.
I can't say that I am because then he'll fail immediately.
Yeah,
Like I
that's
love
right.
that we're not even into the episode already. And like if I say that he's gonna do well and I'm pulling for him, that means he is a day one non-select.
Yeah.
So I am not gonna do that. I'm not gonna put that evil on him.
So I hope he
Exactly.
does well. I think he's going to make it. Aaron's like, there's no way in hell he's going to make it because, we're just trying to counteract. So
We are,
it's a good
yeah.
episode. So please enjoy. There's actually, real quick before we start, there's one person that sent a comment into your question thing that you put the other day, like, stop having irrelevant people on there that don't have a good standing in the community. And I'm like, dude, let me tell you
community?
something here. Like,
I'm here
no
every
matter
week. How
who
come they don't
we have
complain about
on,
it?
no matter who we have on, there is going to be somebody that's like, the fuck you having that dude on for? Like, you should get better people. What would people say about you if we had you on? Hey, everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. Caught him off guard. I knew it.
Starting off negative.
Yeah,
Starting off super cynical too.
We start off with PMA, positive mental
That's
attitude.
it, baby.
We don't stop. Appreciate you joining us, man.
I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, dude. Awesome. Well, so we'll just jump right into it, really. You are at the beginning of your pipeline journey, are you not?
Correct. Yes, I am still in development. I just passed my first IFT.
Is this the male model pipeline or?
Yeah, what pipeline are we talking? Are you in the guest pipeline, or is it more like an Abercrombie and Fitch sort of vibe? Like you you got square jaws.
Dude, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you got it. That's good.
No, I appreciate the compliments.
No,
I'm not going to get them. I'm not going to get them once I get in the pipeline.
No, you're definitely not going to get them, and
you are.
People aren't going to know anyway because I'm not going to show your face. But
there you go.
I'm telling you guys, he's a handsome dude.
And, hey, when he turned his camera on, I actually heard music. And so, tell us how it is that you came to wanting to be in the Air Force. First and foremost, right? So you're in development. Let's back up. When did you make the decision that you wanted to go to the Air Force?
Yeah, so my background is in mechanical engineering. So I did the whole 9 to 5 job for a while, 6-7 years, and I don't know, it just really wasn't for me. I guess it wasn't the excitement I wanted. So for about 6-7 years, I'd always asked myself, would I want to go into the military? It's something I had thought about since I was a little kid. Had kind of been questioning that for a lot of my life. Kind of terrified to do it because I knew my parents would kind of freak out. I'd been studying to be an engineer for a while. And so I'd been asking myself these questions for 6-7 years. So either going as a Navy SEAL, Green Beret, Ranger, whatever. I didn't know the Air Force had any special operations capability. So about, I think it was January of this year, I just got in my mind to Google to see if the Air Force had any special operations career fields. And lo and behold, it did. And it kind of lined up with a lot of what I was looking for. So right now, my intent is going as special reconnaissance. But because there is that Aaron looks disgusted.
I did not. I had a really
not disgusted.
I had a really cynical joke that I like. So like people laugh. I got called out on this like last week. People were like, "Oh man, when you're doing these live interviews, it's like, man, you're just joking around with people and you're having a good time and you're always really serious on the One's Ready podcast." It's not that I'm serious. It's that I have jokes that are highly inappropriate. Like SR, huh? Oh, so you mean security forces when you fail out? That was the joke that I was going to make, but that's not a nice joke, right? Like, and it's not mean. I'm not trying to be a dick to you, but in my head, I was like, don't say that out loud, Aaron. That's not appropriate. You don't shame the guest, So
there you go.
So I was not disgusted. Why SR? So when you talked about because this is really interesting, right? We have this conversation with folks that are in kind of your peer group right now, right? Maybe not as old, but at the same part of their journey where you knew you wanted to do something. SEAL, firefighter, first responder, military, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
How is it that how did you make the decision to end up settling on, not settling? Well, for SR, it's settling. You decide to be a PJ, you settle for SR.
Okay.
You decide to sit around and do nothing and wait for bad things to happen,
Right.
as opposed to actually being,
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because there's nothing
no
bad.
problems.
There's nothing to do. You guys, I'll tell you what. We're going to talk about that later.
Okay. Cool.
But how did you decide on the Air Force?
Decide on the Air Force. My dad, he was actually in the Air Force. I also have an understanding that the Air Force has a tendency to treat their people really well compared to the other branches. Not saying the other branches are terrible, but
You can say it.
Okay, they are terrible, sure, yeah. And the Air Force is just less terrible. Yeah,
I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. No, that's a great way to
Good
put it.
way to put
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, my dad was in. He was he worked up in Minot. So he was working on nuclear weapons for a while there, and so he got his engineering training through the Air Force, and I'd always kind of grown up. I've seen how his training has affected him. I mean, he's an amazing man. My dad is probably my number one influence. To this day, whenever he talks and he stands around, he stands with his feet as attention. Always. Doesn't matter. It's so, I mean, the Air Force has had a significant impact on his life, aside from his walk with the Lord. But yeah.
Maybe this is a weird question then, but
Okay.
I imagine you have a lot of parental support then, like when you made this decision, like probably from your dad's side, I've got to imagine, but it can't be, historically, it's not really easy for the moms and sometimes the dads too, especially when you're going into a combat arms career field.
Yeah. Actually, my mom was pretty okay with the idea. It was my dad. He was the one that was like, "Ooh, let's pump the brakes here real quick." He's always been super practical. He is extremely detail oriented. So when he heard, okay, you're going to drop your career in engineering, you're going to go downrange and potentially get shot at. I don't know if that's a great idea. Have you really thought through all of the nitty gritty? Like, are you really?
Yeah,
cool?
That sounds dangerous, man.
Yeah,
the way you describe it, I don't think I want you to do it. I like you. I feel like we're friends now. I can't condone this sort of behavior.
Yeah. So he asked me all of those questions. He's asking me like, like, are you okay with potentially killing somebody? Yeah, I mean, he asked me a ton of difficult questions right off the bat, and so after he got through all of those, coming out the other side, when he kind of got to a place where like, okay, this is happening. I don't think Mason's an idiot. I think he kind of knows what he's doing. Not really, but kind of knows what he's doing. And then so he's kind of like, yeah, I have the support of my parents now, and it's not like I never did, but yeah, I need my dad there to be able to question what I'm doing, make sure what I'm doing is thought out.
Yeah,
it would be weird if you didn't.
Yep.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's good because we need in 2024 and on, we need more solid male role models and solid father figures. So that's awesome. So shout out to your dad. That's
of course.
That's kick ass.
Yeah, no kidding. Kudos to him.
And actually, you could see, like, when you started talking about it, you could actually kind of see it, like, it, in your face, in your voice, you could hear like how much he actually means to you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, he's an incredible man.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get the concern. It's a big departure from engineering and all that other stuff. Like, what was the feeling that you had that you needed to do something else? Like, I think I understand it. The whole 9 to 5, you got that itch, right? Like, what is it that drove you to like the military in the beginning? And I have to ask, since you're a younger person than I am, was there like a movie that your generation like references when it comes to inspiring them to become, military members?
Now, you've seen something. This is my favorite thing. We have over 350 episodes, right? So there, 350 times I've been on a screen with Trent. My favorite question from Trent is he'll ask a 2-part question that have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, man, what? Can you just do me a favor? Can you tell me if you had a calling? And then what's your favorite war movie from your generation?
Yes,
just speak for everybody."
Because that's where it starts. If you without Predator, I never would have thought like I want to do this, right? Like without Arnold, like. But so I'm curious, like because as an instructor, I started to make like movie references in front of students, and I would do it all the time. And at a certain point, the students just lost the connection. Like their eyes just went glassy out. I'll be like, "Oh, Predator!" Like I ain't got time to bleed, and they're just like, "We don't know what you're talking about, Sergeant." And it's just like, "Oh, then what is getting y'all to sit here like idiots and listen to me scream at you?" Great
2-part question. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Try to answer that.
Yes, perfect. Oh boy. I do have a movie in mind. It's insane, and it's not really an inspiring war movie. It is, I guess, technically, it is about war. When I was a kid, my buddies and I went and saw this movie called Battle Los Angeles. This is the dumbest thing ever. Oh my gosh. But it was about...
you had one shot.
I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah. No, it's the only thing I can really think of. And it's like, it was a significant movie to me and my friends. We saw it a bunch of times.
Dude,
but
my family loves that movie. What's funny is by the time I saw that, I went home one time and my dad and my brothers were like, "We got to watch this movie with you together. We think it's a good war movie." And we're watching it, and the Aaron Eckhart character, they're like, "Is that you?" Because I was like towards the end of my career, and I'm like, so by the time I saw your movie, they equated me to the grizzled old.
Oh yes, so
NCO
good.
That should be retiring, but doesn't because aliens invade.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow. How ironic.
Oh,
a bunch of former action guys on a podcast talking about a movie that's highly irrelevant to Gen Z. Fantastic. That's very on brand. Everybody. I'm sure the comments will be very accommodating to this very ironic point.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I mean, other than movies, yeah, I mean, so I also I lived overseas for a while, and a lot of the conversations I had with people were oriented towards either America sucks at this, or free speech is a bad thing, or the Second Amendment is not something that should be protected. Yeah, so I had an incredible amount of discussions and arguments with people. So I really had to understand what made America incredible, why I think it's the best country to ever exist. I mean, because it protects those freedoms that nowhere else in the world have ever been tried. There has never been a country before that elevates freedom above political security or, the government security. And I mean, I feel like nowadays we depart a little bit from that, but the thought and motivation behind why our country was started is still protected by our Constitution. And I think especially as a Christian, that's extremely important to me. Yeah. So going into military service, I think is a good way to defend that.
Couldn't agree more. It's kind of like putting your money where your mouth is, or as I used to put it, like I wanted to earn my vote. I wanted to get in there and see what it's all about. So totally agree. I love the sentiment. Getting a hold of a recruiter. We get a lot of questions. People are like, "Oh, I reached out to a recruiter, and it's impossible to find an SW recruiter and all that other stuff." As you go through that process, once you start making this decision, you found out that we exist, probably because of this podcast. You're welcome.
Actually, yes, it was because of your guys' podcast. I'm telling you.
On a survey, baby.
Let's do it. Yeah. So in January, when I did that quick Google search, the official Air Force thing came up, and I looked at the website and looked through the career fields.
And you were like, lame. This is
fucking
like, stupid.
Honestly, I didn't get much information from it. So I was like, okay.
Crazy.
And so I was like, are there any, does anyone talk about this on YouTube? So I just went to YouTube and typed it in, Air Force Special Warfare. And you guys popped up.
God, that SEO is just hitting, dog. That SEO is putting us at the top of all those pages. Oh, the CIO is making Frank.
Oh yeah,
Kidding,
dude.
we don't.
It's
It's not really. It's more of just us talking on the mic for
Exactly,
our own
yeah,
time.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, but so like all your guys' content, it's exactly what I needed. I didn't honestly, and I'm not doing this just like kiss you guys, but
You can kiss me, homie.
oh, yeah.
I'll tell you
kiss
what,
each
you
other
make it through
goodnight.
selection, you're getting kissed goodnight anyway by the
Oh,
homies. So
please,
I'll tell you
right,
what,
bring it
man.
on, bring it on.
By the homies.
You can, man,
But,
I kiss the homies goodnight every time.
Yeah, but no,
Little
yeah,
forehead kiss.
the information you guys provide is probably the reason I decided to go forward with it. Just because, like, I pretty much knew exactly what I was going to be getting into. You guys provide a lot of information, a lot of what it kind of looks like to actually be in from your guys' perspective. So it was invaluable in me making that decision. Also, being able to send a podcast or two to my mom, just so like she could have that like piece of thought, like, okay, these are the guys that are in. They seem like pretty solid dudes.
So now I got to start watching what I say.
Exactly.
All right.
Except for Aaron. Hey, they seem like pretty nice guys, except for the guys that's always talking about conspiracy theories and making dick jokes. Like, that guy doesn't
Fair
seem
enough.
Yeah, that guy doesn't seem like the type of guy that I want my son
Two out
hanging
of
out.
three. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Two out of three is failing,
2 out of
Trent.
3 is
That's
great.
a 66%. That's not.
It's better than
Okay?
the SEALs.
That's what that is. 2 out of 3 is an F. So
Yeah, there you go.
I just want to put that out there. I hate to involve percentages in this. So
Yeah.
you've done, I know it feels like super early, and I can hear it in your voice. And when you're saying these things, you're always trying to couch it in like, hey, I haven't done anything yet. I'm in development. I haven't showed up. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, you've done more than 99% of the people in your peer group, because you got to a recruiter, you got in development, you put your money where your mouth is, you wanted to earn your boat, and you're getting close to ship it out. I want to kind of hone in on when it is that you made the decision to go and make it formal and get into development, because that's a big stopping point for people. So we're going to do this lightning round. So I'm just going to ask you some yes or no questions, and then we're going to talk about it. When you went to the recruiter, did you feel like you were 100% ready to go to the Air Force?
No.
Okay. When you started your development program and you took that first IFT, were you happy with your numbers, and were you excited to go into the Special Reconnaissance career field?
Not happy with my numbers. And
Are you happy with your numbers right this second?
Not totally.
There you go. So, and I wanted to have this little experiment. I could keep going, by the way, right?
Yeah.
You're never going to get to 100%. You got to a point where you're like, listen, I'm just going to send it. I'm going to go talk to the recruiter. Am I ready to talk to the recruiter? No, I'm not. Am I ready to go into development? No, I'm not. My first IFT absolutely sucked. You know, we have IFT episodes, 4 or 5 of them out there at this point. And the one thing that we always say is like, listen, your first IFT is going to suck. You're not going to feel like you're ready to go. How did you get over that hurdle of each of these little steps that we just talked about? We just had 3 examples of you not feeling ready to go. How did you get yourself to a point where you're like, listen, I don't have all of the information. I don't know exactly what SR does, because even SOCOM doesn't know. I don't have the best IFT numbers right this second of what, Trent, you like how I slipped that one in there? No? Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that was nice.
Yeah, just real smooth. Just put it in there.
Yeah.
But you didn't have all of these answers. So talk us through how it is that you just made that decision in that moment to just continue and be like, send it. I got to go do this.
Yeah. Well, so my background, besides being an engineer, is I'm a competitive power lifter. I guess I was a competitive power lifter. I've kind of had to put that on pause.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea for the
Yeah,
training
exactly.
for the pipeline.
True,
Right.
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ain't going to help you on that swim, homie.
There's a distinct lack of cardio in my traditional training. Yeah.
Do you mean lift weights faster? Because that's
Yes,
usually
exactly.
what I do. Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking. Yeah.
You want me to take
Squats are
less
cardio.
rest, I guess? I guess I'll just go on a 3-minute cycle and not a 4-minute? Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Cardio.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've had so my background is in powerlifting, but I coach a few guys, so I program for them. I know how to train for any particular result. So I know how to train cardio. I know how to train strength. I know how to train calisthenics, and I've helped other people do it, and I've had people help me do it. So when I decided to go into the pipeline, I knew when I decided to go into development, I knew my numbers weren't where I needed them to be. My calisthenics were actually very good just because of my background in lifting. I did a ton of sports in high school and college. Ran track, played semi-professional rugby. So I have an athletic background. But going in, I knew like, okay, this is how you train. You start small. So I just started at running 10 miles a week, and I just started increasing from there very slowly, like 2.5 miles every week from that point on. And then once I got to like 25 miles a week, I started introducing speed work, so intervals, things like that. But so the whole methodology behind getting ready and being okay with not liking my numbers that first IFT was knowing this is a long-term process. I am not going to get this overnight. I've known that every step of my athletic career. It just comes with the turf for training. So yeah, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you got to be comfortable with failing. And if you can do that, then
why doesn't he have his own podcast? Why are we
I was just gonna say, like, is there hope, guys? Is that what this feeling is? Is it hope for the people that are going in the pipeline, that are listening and internalizing information and using it to their benefit? I want to talk about how much you had to put out yourself in the development process, right? We get to the recruiter, we get into we get into DEP, we get into the development program. As you're working through that development program, and hey, you had to change your modality of training. Like it's awesome that you had that base behind you, that athletic base behind you. There are some people that come in that have zero idea of what training is or how it is to like even progress, like Trent was writing up simple stuff on the whiteboard, and people were like, oh, Trent, that's not enough volume for whatever. He's like, listen, I'm not writing it for the top 5% of development. I'm writing it for the bottom 5% of people that haven't even talked to a recruiter yet, like that are starting to just, hey man, there are people out there that have never done 100 push-ups in a day. So you have to split those 100 push-ups up in sets of 10 across a day because they've never done it before. Like, it's good that you had that background. How much did you have to work individually inside of the development program? Like, how much extra work did you have to put in order to get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, now I'm comfortable with my IFT numbers. Now I don't feel like I'm getting smoked every single day. How much of that fell on you, and how much of that fell on your developer?
Oh my gosh. Essentially all of it fell upon me. The Fridays that we met up,
there's so many. I can't wait until you hear your voice on our Instagram channel. From now until forever. We pass off via text message, right? Like, I'll ask you the question. Yeah. I'm bad at interrupting our guests. Okay. I get it. I get it, guys. We pass off stuff, and literally, like, you said something before, and Peaches was like, we're gonna play that reel on repeat 100% of the time, all of the time, from now until forever, because this is all stuff that it just makes my heart happy. Okay. So how much of your development process fell on you and you alone?
Yeah. So yeah, all of it. I knew, like, especially having my background in any type of training, 1 day a week is not going to cut it. And I know some people don't get 1 day a week. Sometimes it's only 1 or 2 days a month. So that's not going to cut it. And especially for the adaptations you're looking for. So you're looking for a crazy mix of good cardio, strength, and endurance. And that doesn't just come by messing around one Friday every week. And,
no.
Yeah.
Not even close.
So there's been, I know, it's crazy. It's mind blowing. But so having to do a whole lot of stuff on my own when I don't want to do it, but because I need to get the work done. And it doesn't have to be flashy, doesn't have to be as hard as it possibly can, but the work needs to be done.
Oh, for sure, because you're not going to get any better without it. Taking a slight step back, when you reached out to a recruiter, was it a special operations recruiter, or was it a normal enlisted accessions recruiter?
It was actually a normal enlisted recruiter.
Okay, cool.
There was one like right down the street, so I just kind of like walked in.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then kind of from when you went in, or from when you hit that recruiter to you're kind of getting cleared through MEPS and everything like that, and you got a ship date, essentially. How long has that process been?
So for me, it's been a little interesting. So technically, my situation's kind of hairy. I'm actually currently in the National Guard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got in. So I got in last December. So I'm pretty new to the National Guard. I was in a different. So my career, um, I was working for a company, and I was a contractor, and they went through some budget cuts, so they let all their contractors go. So I was kind of in the perfect place. I had been researching Air Force Special Warfare for about a couple of months, listening to you guys, asking myself if I would want to go in the career field. And then this happened. And I was like, let's just do it. I'll send it. So I reached out to my National Guard recruiter and then my supervisor, asking them, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Is this a possibility? So they kind of went through with me, hey, we could pursue separating you from the Guard and letting you go active. So I said, let's start the process. And so we've had a process going on for like 6 months. And yeah, so we're working through that right now. And we're at the end of it. I'll probably ship in November.
Okay. So it's been a little bit more confusing and probably elongated process than your normal person. Okay, that's fair.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's it, and it's you're completely separating and then coming in and not a sister service transfer kind of thing.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
because
cool.
I haven't been basic yet.
Okay.
Yes.
The Guard is wild.
Guard is wild.
The Guard is wild. It's just, hey, you just want to come hang out? I haven't really been to basic. Not that big of a deal, honestly. You can just come hang out. We got clothes for you and everything. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have something called a student flight. So I've been sitting in these student flight briefs for every month since March.
Wow.
And so they just talk about basic training. They talk about what you're going to expect in your job, what each of the units in the wing does. So yeah, but
all right.
we drill and do stuff like that. So I kind of understand what they'll be doing in basic. I have a little, I guess, inside knowledge compared to everybody else that's going in.
Yeah, because I had no knowledge going in. I didn't know what blousing boots were. I didn't know how to make the bed and fold stuff. I didn't know any of that. So how long have you been in development then?
I've been in development since I think April. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
April. Okay.
Yeah, and it has taken me. Well, so I went from not running at all for 5-6 years to having to run a whole lot and swim a whole lot. So it took me about 6 months to get into a place where I'm like, I can complete the IFT run pretty consistently and pass with the numbers I need.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, since you hadn't been running, I don't know what your time on feet looked like. What is how did that feel when you first started getting into it? Because you're not the only one. I mean, you said you have an athletic background. You played rugby. You've been competitive power lifter, semi-pro rugby, and you still hadn't ran in 6 years or so. So your time on feet is probably you probably had a good foundational level, but I mean, even me, if I take time off feet for a month, I feel it.
Oh yeah.
So what was that like for you?
It was it definitely was a shocker. The first, I think, month I ran, every run I went on, about 2 miles in, everything below my knee would go numb. So after the run, nothing would hurt. It'd be fine. And I mean, I know in training, as long as there's no persistent pain, you're good to go. As long as it's not crazy painful while you're doing the activity and there's no persistent pain afterward, whatever. So I knew it was eventually going to disappear. For a month there, I was like, is it really going to go away, or is this just going to be my running experience? And I was like, I guess. And in the pipeline. I'm just going to have to put up with some numbness. But eventually it stopped. And but I took your guys' advice when you said start increasing your time on your feet every day. So I got a job, or I have a manufacturing job right now where I'm standing around lifting heavy stuff all day for 8 hours from 4:30 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I go to the gym, I'll lift, and then I'll do either a swim or a run.
Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, so I went from very little time on my feet all day to doing all that. And again, slowly increasing it, slowly adding things here and there. Didn't do it all at once, but yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, yeah. And I encourage the guys that are in development with me to do similar stuff.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody that maybe hasn't heard, the DoD, the military, is having a huge issue with people coming into their basic trainings and they haven't spent any time on their feet and just walking around, spending that much time on their feet. We're breaking people's legs because they're birds, apparently, just by, day-to-day stuff. Like when you get to basic training, we're not putting you on a bus to go everywhere. We're not, you got to march, you got to do all these things. And so it's a huge shock to the system for a lot of the folks that are out there. And you've probably seen some people get shocked to their system when they show up to their development sessions, I'm guessing. When you show up to these development sessions, and I want to say some good things about it, but when you look at your peers in development, what does that look like? Or do people show up and you're just like, bro, like how did you think that you were ready for this? Or are they all killers?
No, they definitely are not all killers. I can say that with confidence.
Calling you out, dev group. Development group.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Not the other one. We're
not the other, not the special ones. Yeah. Definitely not all of them. There have been like a core group of guys that I know they show up pretty much every single week unless there's mitigating circumstances. I have seen plenty of guys come and go. Some guys will only show up for 1 week, maybe 2 weeks.
Why do you think that is?
I think they get a taste of what it's going to be like. And they're just like, I don't think this is for me. And to be fair, my first probably 3-4 development sessions were rough, were really bad, like crawling to the finish line. And now it's come to a point where I can comfortably do whatever they ask me to do. It might suck, but like I'm not dying. I can complete the activity. I've had the incredible fortune of having 5 or 6 members from the community that are currently serving come and lead development sessions, answer questions. I've got a few phone numbers from a bunch of them. So I'm incredibly fortunate, and always their development sessions always suck the worst. Oh my goodness. And the worst by far was this seer guy. He comes in and he makes us do this circuit, and it like the most brutal thing we've ever done. Maybe it was because it was earlier on in my development, but it was like a mix of 400-meter fireman's carries, burpees. No, it was 8 counts, and then grass and gorillas. It was just a circuit. And so we did like 6 to 8 rounds of that, and that was rough.
Yeah, but, it's not hard to smoke folks with just their body weight and other people's body weight. It's pretty easy. So is that what these are all like? Are they all just like smoke sessions, or do they just seem like smoke sessions because you're just not, conditioned to this type of workout? Or are they just like screaming and yelling at you and it's like a hell week every time?
No, it's not always smoke sessions. Some of it's, there's a lot of track workouts we do, and sometimes they will intentionally bring somebody in from the community, or they will try to lead themselves a smoke session. We had a guy who was a SR Select and then a TAC P. They came and had like a smoke session. So they would tell us, they would give us basic instructions like, hey, everyone put your backpacks under the bench over there, and everyone put their backpacks around the bench. So they counted up all the backpacks, and they were like, okay, so there's 7 backpacks here that are not under the bench. So we're going to do 7 laps.
Yeah.
So we ran a whole lot, and then so everything we did wrong, they just pointed it out, and we're like, okay, we have to restart exactly what you're doing. So it didn't matter how much we had just done, restarting everything. And so that was another really tough smoke session. But not all of them were like that. But I am really appreciative of the experience, just because I kind of know what's going to happen when I'm in the pipeline to some extent. It's probably going to be a little worse. So,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
They just have more money than those SR and CCT selects. They only had a
Exactly.
track. We have pools and we have
Yes,
equipment to make you tired with. So there's things that you're preparing yourself for, whether you know it or not. It's like the Karate Kid and wax on, wax off. We're teaching you how to block things without teaching you how to block things.
Mm-hmm.
But those, put your backpacks underneath the bench. That's attention to detail, right? It's following simple directions. It's, hey, I told you to do this, and there are penalties. When you don't do these things, there are penalties. What are some other lessons that you learn in depth? Like in the dev program, like what are some other things that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that it was going to be like this, and I had to work on it?
So I guess, let's see. That muscular endurance aspect, there's an interesting mix of cardio and strength that not most people are not used to applying. I think I was actually listening to your guys' episode with Taylor Starch. He was talking about training strength. I think he was talking about training strength and cardio separately, and you get the adaptations whenever you're asked to integrate both of them. I agree with that concept. I mean, he's significantly smarter than me when it comes to exercise science, but I think for me, I've kind of treated Fridays, so dev sessions, as like my training for the week, where it's like high intensity interval training. So you integrate both that strength and the cardio. So it gives your body that exposure to something that you're not used to. And that's applying both of those things. So whether we're the last few weeks, we've been doing a lot of CALs, been circuit training with CALs and track workouts. So we'll do a bunch of rounds of CALs, and then we'll run around a track, and we'll just do that for 5-10 sets.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and you're hitting, that's great information there. And it's people that people don't understand that we talk about when we talk about the IFT, right? We're like, hey, you need to run the IFT in its entirety in the way that it's set up. Like you can't just do a set of push-ups and be like, oh yeah, my number is 90. Mm-hmm. Well, no, what's your number after doing pull-ups? What's your number? What's your sit-up number after you did the pull-ups and the push-ups? What's your run time after pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups? Like those things have to be done in order, because there's magic in the mixing. And that mix of cardio and strength, typically those things oppose one another, right? Like you take away your strength gains by working on too much cardio. People that do a whole lot of cardio, they're typically not that strong. You look at your marathon runners, whatever, but we're asking you to do both. What are some other things that you were like, oh wow, I did not realize I was going to have to do, these things? Is it changing clothes really fast to get from one thing to another? Is it setting up training events? Like you already gave the kind of, example of the backpacks and getting ready for training events. What are some things that you're, I guess, apprehensive about when you're getting close to ship here? Because if it's, August 31st right now, so, we're talking September, man, you got what, 60 days to get ready to go before you're looking at shipping out in that November timeframe. So what are some things that you're still pretty apprehensive about as you get closer to shipping?
Yeah. I mean, of course I'm apprehensive of my prospects of getting through, just because, I mean, I know there's a 91% attrition rate. I know going in that, like, I probably will not succeed. Fingers crossed, I really hope I do. I would love to know exactly what the SR career field does. And I figured,
me too, buddy,
this would be the easiest way to know, to actually get through the whole pipeline and become get into the career field.
I got some bad news. It's not actually going to make sense until you get to STTS. So you're going to get a taste in North Carolina, and you're going to get to STTS. And the guys that come out of there, they're like, oh, I finally get it. It's like, you just had to go through a year and a half worth of pipeline and getting smoked and all these other things to figure it out. So you may,
because we'll never actually get a straight answer out of Trent.
No.
So I have to figure this out myself.
10 hours of content and people are still like, oh, what does SR do? Did you listen to the 10 hours where you're talking about it? He wrote everything down. You know, to stay in the vein of getting ready to ship out, we already talked about those relationships, how important your relationship is with your parents and have them involved in the process. And, you know, your girlfriend as a support system and stuff. What things are you doing on that support system side to set yourself up to be ready to go? Are you having tough conversations? Are you getting yourself, like, are you guys planning life out? Like, how are you getting ready to be away from home and start this new journey?
Yeah. There've been a ton of really difficult conversations. Not too much planning with my parents, because ever since I went to college, I've been extremely far away from them, and they don't see me too often. But like with my girlfriend, she's asking difficult questions like, is this going to change me? Like like negatively?
Yeah. Would you just tell her yes?
I told her, I mean, I don't know.
Well, if you listen to the memes, you're going to have a drinking problem. You're going to have
exactly. Yes.
You have what we call pre-TSD.
I will lose all control over my life because I just
Listen, I'm gonna come out a broken man. That's what they teach you in development, is how to be broken.
Exactly. Yeah. But
you'd be lying. I mean, you'd be lying though if you said that it wasn't going to change you. Like,
sure.
Of course. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bro, just throw away your phone and ghost. That's what you do. You just disappear. Yes. That's what you should do.
Good thing I have my earbuds in, because she's sitting right here.
Just kidding. That's my go-to bad advice. 100%.
There you go. Yeah.
I love Trent's go-to bad advice.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess throughout my life experience and kind of how I know people are kind of like sponges, and I get this from my dad. All valuable things, lessons I know are from my dad. But he tells me people are like sponges. Life stress and terrible things that happen to you, good things or terrible things that happen to you, will squeeze you. And all life shows you is what's already inside. So as the sponge is squeezed, you see either garbage or there's cleanliness inside. And I'm convinced that going into the military just reveals who you already are. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it just shows you what you need to work on, and some people don't know how to do that.
Man, you just hit deep with some of these people that have their own drinking problems and stuff like that. Now, some people are addicted to monsters and all that kind of stuff.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I'm addicted to.
I can hear you. I'm right here.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm addicted to Cardomax.
Right, yeah.
Monster.
Oh boy.
Jeez.
I will say my caffeine intake has hit all time levels. But so while you're drinking your coffee, you're good. What is your like? How many development sessions or start over? Geez, what's your travel time to development sessions?
I'm really fortunate. I'm 20 minutes away from where we do dev sessions.
Okay.
I know guys who travel an hour and a half.
Yep.
And one of the guys I'm thinking of in particular, he's there every single week. He is dedicated to doing this, and he also likes listening to you guys. So,
well, that's his first mistake.
Yeah. I was gonna say, not everybody's perfect. Sounds like the guy's motivated, but makes bad decisions.
He's got good motivation. Not the best life choices, but whatever.
Yeah, it's okay. I like making bad decisions too, so this guy's fine.
How many development sessions have you been able to hit a month? And then, like, so the dude you're talking about that lives an hour and a half away, how many does he usually hit a month?
A month. I usually, pretty much. It's every Friday. Unless we skip.
Okay.
So 4 Fridays a month. Yeah.
Okay. And then in some of those times where, because, you may be a physical specimen now, but you weren't in the past, or even when you're in it now and you hit those difficult things where you're like, dude, I'm just not feeling it today, that kind of thing. Like, what does your internal dialogue sound like? Are you kind of the, oh, dude, I'm such a terrible person. Look at you. You're disgusting. You have no place being here. Or is it like, hey, man, you got it kind of thing?
For me, it's definitely not the, hey, man, you got it. For me, it's more like if I can just run to that tree right there, and then when I get there, if I can run to that tree, it's just like it's what's immediately ahead of me. Just bite off what I can chew and just like get it done. Because I know if I look at the whole thing, if I look at the whole training session, we're like 2 rounds in, and we've had like 8 more rounds to go, and I'm in the middle of this run, and I'm like, I do not want to be here. That's going to kill me. But if I can just be like, I just need to get around this track. If I can get around this track, I'm golden, because I know my cows are going to be fine. So if I can just make it to what I'm good at, it'll just suck less. And yeah, so that's kind of in my mindset.
Did you come up with that kind of internally, or is that just the way? Because that works, like that works well for me. Is when you start looking at your 2.5 year pipeline, it's like, dude, that's pretty daunting, and you start breaking it up in chunks and stuff like that. And I mean, you can get it all the way down to exactly what you're talking about. Is like, I just got to make it to that stop sign that's at the end of the street, and then from there, I'll hit the next stop line or the whatever it is. And that's kind of pool session. If you're entering a 4-hour pool session, you have all of these tasks. 4-hour pool session sounds daunting, especially what they're going to do to you. All right, let me just get through these underwaters. I've got, I don't know, 7. I've got 10 underwaters at a minute 30 pace. Okay, let me get through this. Yeah, I know. I know. Threw up a little bit. Now I've got mask and snorkel recovery. Okay, and it's just getting through those. Like, that is one way that helps me a lot, and that helps a lot of people. And so it's interesting to hear that you have got the same kind of mental concept.
Yeah, and I don't think it's something that you can just like invent yourself. I think it's provided to you through all of your failures and doing difficult things throughout your life. I mean, when I first ran track, I remember I was kind of in the same boat I am pre-development session, when I didn't run at all. I only lifted weights, and I was like, my college was starting up a track team, and so they're like, hey, if anybody has any athletic ability and they want to run track, let us know, and we'll try you out. And so I got on the track team, but oh boy, was that a kick in the teeth. Yeah, whole lot of running that I was not used to, and pretty much all of my athletic endeavors have been me miserably failing immediately, and then like clawing my way to some semblance of being okay or decent. So it's kind of something that you have to learn through an abundance of failure and an abundance of being in the suck. And you start to make those connections in your brain, from, okay, this sucks, but I can get through it if I just put myself here. And for me, that's biting off a little piece at a time. And I know for a lot of people, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. In your development sessions, you're not a younger person, right? Like, when it comes to, like, you're not 17 years old, getting a waiver to do these things. I'm assuming you assume a little bit of a leadership role, and the question is, do you get a lot of crazy questions from the young people that show up to these dev sessions, and how do you deal with that?
I don't know if about crazy questions,
or just interesting. What are the kids asking these days? What do the kids want to know?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them, they're asking all the questions about the pipeline. So they're asking, what it's going to be like, what numbers do I need to hit, so all the stuff you expect. And because a lot of them don't really know, I definitely take more of a leadership role because I'm older. A lot of the guys will look up to me. I've developed pretty good connections with a lot of them, and they're 10 years younger than me for most of them. But we all share this, hey, we want to get into this career field. So that's good. But I'm in a unique position because I'm in the Guard. I have an understanding of kind of a little bit of an understanding of what military life is like. I'm closer to them in age and in experience to what they're wanting to do than our recruiters are, because they haven't gone through development. They haven't been trying to get into the pipeline. So I can relate to them with that, as well as I have a lot of information that you guys provide, as well as what I've researched. So they'll ask me a ton of questions about those things. But I think a lot of, oh, sorry, you go ahead.
I just want to know, how do they deal with it when, you get those kids that'll show up once or twice and they start asking questions and you just hit them with like a very raw truth, like, you don't need to worry about that right now. Just do the workout.
Yeah.
Like, you see them get like their feelings hurt and not come back. And how would you suggest that they deal with that? Because I think that's something that they're not used to in normal life, right? And they're going to run into that in the pipeline no matter what. Is you see it all the time where people are used to like this weird, like soft, no edges lifestyle that they're living in, and they show up and we're just like, no, here's the truth, and I don't care if you make it or not. Like, this is just the standard and you got to do it. Like, do you have any advice for those folks that are going to show up for their first time and how to deal with, the reality that's going to smack them in the face?
Yeah. For people like that, well, I'm speaking to myself as well. You just need to understand that people are telling you this raw truth because in some little part of their heart, they actually care a little bit about you. And if they didn't care at all, they would just be like, oh no, you're going to be fine. Just focus on whatever you need to do. You'll get through it. As long as you're a tough dude,
just
you
be
can
a
get
good
through the
dude.
pipeline. Exactly.
Put out.
Just be a good dude and put out. Yeah.
Just be a good dude. Put out. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's actually good advice, but whatever.
Yeah.
Don't steal from your teammates.
Don't steal.
Exactly.
It's a simple
Put
stuff.
out.
It's like we've made an entire cottage industry on telling people what they should do to be good people at kindergarten. Okay, well, you don't eat your teammates' food, and when it's time to clean up, everybody's got to help. And when it's time to put our backpacks away, they all have to look the same.
Yes. So you're telling me all I need is a kindergarten education, and
yes,
there we go.
I got to be honest with you, man. You figured it out. You show up to the place that you're supposed to be wearing the right clothes with all of your friends, and all they have the right clothes on. It's crazy. That's all wild. We're asking you to do. Show up, dress correctly, and then put your things away like they're supposed to be, and then clean up after yourself when you're done. That's all we're asking you to do. The entire pipeline. It's essentially like pre-K, daycare, and people still can't figure it out. We have to pay $18,000 for a 72-hour course for people to understand that snack time is snack time and training time is training time, and you shouldn't be snacking during training time or training during snack time. That's basically it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sounds
about
right.
You graduate from school and you look back, you're like, oh, that was actually really easy because they just told me what to do the whole time. Like, that's what the pipeline is. You're like, this is the worst thing ever. And then you go on team where you have to do all these things all by yourself and no one's telling you what to do and you got to figure it out on your own. And you're like, oh man, training is amazing.
I wish I was in the pipeline.
I wish I was training.
Right? Yeah. Man, remember the days where I had to mop one floor in the morning at like 9:30, and then the rest of my day I spent avoiding people that were working in my organization so I could work out 2.5 times and take a little nap in the afternoon after getting my belly full of Uncrusties? That's the move. That's the move right there.
Yes. Oh boy.
So I got to ask though, you are taking a big risk here. Obviously you talked about the statistics of how many folks make it through. Obviously I think, there's way to mitigate those statistics by showing up to more dev sessions, by being prepared, being a little bit older definitely doesn't hurt. But say that the worst thing happens, will it all have been a waste of time and a big old negative?
No, it definitely won't be. One, it's a new experience to put under my belt. Two, I'm still serving in the Air Force. And that's a good thing. Serving in our military is nothing to look down upon. It bothers me that some people look negatively upon it. Serving your country is a good thing, and I think more people should do it. I think more people should be conscious about the decision to do it, but and that kind of that reflects poorly upon our education system, because I don't think they don't. Yes,
just a quick. I can't resist. Defund the Department of Education completely and totally.
Fund the student. My language.
Fund the student, not the system. Get the Department of Education, the teachers' lobbies. Get the fuck out of here. Bam. That's you know the little the trapdoor spider. I made this joke the other day on a different thing. The trapdoor spider. It's like if you start saying like conspiracy theories, I'm the little trapdoor spider, and you're like, I don't like the Department of Education, and I'm like, teachers' lobbies are ruining America. and then we're talking about flat Earth. You know what I mean?
And then we're talking minutes, and then he was just like, I'm just gonna put this out here and see if Aaron can resist. Nope.
I want to see.
No, you got me. No, I'm just gonna float something up. Be like, how did 2 planes take down 3 towers at free fall speed? That doesn't seem to make any sense, right? Like Tower 7.
As an engineer, man, you must know that too.
Yeah, as an engineer, Tower 7 was not hit by a plane at all. It just fell at free fall speed after tower. Anyway, sorry.
Come on, Aaron. You can't be asking these questions.
Missing trillions of dollars is very heavy. All right.
Listen,
have you never been to school, Aaron? They teach you these things.
Excuse me. Where's your source? Source, please. Where's that written? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I defund the Department of Education. The Department of Education is government-funded schools, right? People that say that you're homeschooling, you're indoctrinating your children to be homeschooled, right? Okay, then what's the school indoctrinating them to? Because that's government funded. Anyway, sorry,
and homeschooling has significantly better outcomes than government schooling does. So I mean,
I don't know. They sound weird.
It's almost like government schooling is just indoctrinating your children to be subservient.
Weird. It's almost like we came up with it in the early 1900s to make factory workers, which is why schools and factories both have bells.
Yep.
Anyway,
this is the question I asked. I don't think.
Yeah, that really.
Where did we get off track?
Well, I'll ask this as a kind of parting question. What advice would you give to whether it's folks that are kind of in your position that are a little bit older coming in that have got an established career? So that's the first kind of advice, first like category of folks that I'd like you to hit. And then the second would be just kind of an overall advice of things that you've kind of learned or you wish you had known as you start this process.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess to people who are a little older or people that are just deciding to go in, I would definitely ask all of the difficult questions of yourself right away. Ask if it's something that you would be able to do to separate yourself from your family, everything that you know, and pursue something bigger than yourself. If that's something that you really want to do, put yourself through an extremely difficult process, test your mettle. If that is something that you feel deep in your soul, like I need to do this. It's going to be a great experience. I know it. I know it's going to be. I know it's going to test who I am as a man, and I'll come out the other side better for it, whether I fail or I don't. I'll know myself a little better. It's a way to serve your country. It's a way to fight for things that people don't really think about nowadays. The rights that have been given to us by God, not by government. For people that are deciding to go in, I definitely want them to ask those important questions. I also definitely want them to start training hard, do things that you're not used to doing, get on your feet more often. Because I actually had a couple guys that just got out of basic, and 4 of them went in. Only one of them got to SWAS because I think one of the guys I talked to, absolute athletic stud, he could run laps around me, no problem. But because he was mostly sedentary through the development process, when he got out of basic, he had shin splints, and they were pretty bad. So they washed him out. And I think similar things happened to everyone except this one other guy. And his job before he went in was standing around at medieval times selling swords. So he was on his feet all day. So
one of the things that you had talked about that I think is awesome is you got a job. I'm assuming it's kind of in a warehouse where you're stocking shelves. So you're always on your feet. You're lifting things. I think that's probably a good idea. If you have the ability and the capacity to do that, 6 months or maybe 8 months before you're going to go in, as long as it doesn't interfere with development sessions and your training. Sounds like a pretty, like you're building that in inherently into your lifestyle of, I'm going to be on my feet, I'm going to be picking up heavy things, I'm going to be running around. Like, that seems like it kind of makes sense to me.
That heat gear, it's no joke.
I tell everyone in my development session, like, you guys should be doing this stuff. I mean, obviously I haven't gone through the pipeline, so I can't say for certain that's going to help, but I know people, you guys, who have gone through this experience and kind of know what it takes. And you can look at all the people who go through and realize a lot of these guys don't have time on their feet, and they probably should before they go in. So I tell a bunch of my guys in development, like, I don't really care if you do a manufacturing job, just to be on your feet most of the day. So one of my guys, he got a standing desk. So now he just stands there all day while he works. I'm like, perfect. It's something. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Doing something is always better than nothing. So if you're taking those steps forward, you're not taking steps back. And there's no such thing as maintaining. You're always either increasing your ability or decreasing your ability. If you're not progressing, you're regressing.
I feel attacked, but that's cool. Well, dude, we really appreciate you joining us. We wish you all the best. As you go into the pipeline, keep us updated. You know where we're at in the DM. So let us know if you need anything. Keep us updated on your pipeline. And then everybody else out there, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave us a review. If you're not following us on Rumble or X, we are now up on there and we're uploading stuff. It's the same stuff that's on YouTube, but we're just diversifying our bonds. And then,
Was that a Dave Chappelle Wu-Tang and Wu-Tang Financial joke, right? Diversify your bonds, protect your neck, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Wu-Tang Financial.
That's it. Later, fellas.
Late.